agencies, instructors, standards. What's more important? Let's have a discussion about it right now. Hey everybody, Don with Poseidon Deepwater Outdoors here today to talk about agencies. Alright, so I blog a lot on several different Facebook sites and some online forums, as well as participate in discussions on a lot of different pages. And I have noticed, especially during this pandemic period of time, and I think a lot of that has to do with just a general attitude and some growing negativity across the board, not just in the dive industry, just in general. I think a lot of this has to do with that, but there's been this growing discussion on agency bashing and, you know, what's more important, the agency or the instructor, and I kind of like to just throw my opinion out there and quell it a little bit so we can stay focused on the more important overall objective. Okay, it is widely known and accepted fact, PADI is the largest certifying agency. I think there's somewhere around 25 million certifications since their conception. That's huge, mind-boggling. What that is, as a leading agency within the industry, they are going to obviously get the main piece of the negative feedback from all the other pros or anybody. They're obviously going to be scrutinized more. They're going to have more of a, more bashing sessions against them, because let's face it, their model, their mechanism is to make money so that they're able to, grow through more quantity versus, keeping quality and standard at a norm. All right, so they do pump millions into marketing, and whether you whether you love PADI or you hate PADI, it's just, they are a business out there to make money, and they are out there in order to market and possess the largest market share that they can get. It's just the way business is. Now, if we're to be totally honest and look at the dive industry as a market, really all the top dogs as far as agencies go are using the same model, doing the same thing. The variation has to do with market share and what motivates a lot of the agency bashing. Now, that being said, there is a difference in standards, okay? And a lot of these blogs and pages, they talk about how it's not so much the agency, but it's the instructor that makes the training. I'm gonna kind of argue that a little bit. Yes, the instructor is critical to the result that you get, okay? The skills, the experience, overall knowledge base, charisma, that chemistry between you and your instructor, all of that amplifies to making the experience the best so you get the most out of it. That is hands down very important. But the baseline of the education or that process is done by the standards given by the agency. So the parameters in which safe diving is classified is given by the agency, and then that instructor is trained under those agency standards to adhere to them. All right? So there is going to be a big difference between an instructor in RAID versus an instructor in PADI, you know, because the objectives and the standards are different. They're cut from different fabrics and different cloth. So PADI, always being a recreational agency, moving into recent years in tech, will have a different vision and a different mechanism moving their training. RAID, who was rebreather and tech, will have a different mechanism and, you know, moving their standards and vision. ITDA, another one. Their background is professional divers, hard hat divers, technical divers, and hyperbaric chamber medicine. Obviously, their advanced courses are going to be different. Their medical and first aid is going to be different. So those visions and mechanisms that move that standard are going to be different. So what is the bottom line on this? I think really the agency is as important as the instructor. So in that definition, you have good and you have bad instructors. You have good and bad agencies? No, I don't think that's necessarily what we're saying here. So I think when we're looking at training and trying to pick an agency as a new diver, really, any of the big names is probably a safe bet. Standards are all dictated by regional agencies, and really, you know, there's a minimum requirement on them. And then if you're looking, let's say you're looking to be a tech diver, obviously you're going to want to go to an agency that their standards are focused more in that direction. That way it's easier for you to move along your training. But if you're looking only to do some recreational diving, get out there, be safe about it, maybe do a rescue, maybe do advanced, get a drift diver, you know, just some of that scuba light. Hugging a dolphin, petting a sea turtle, naming an urchin, it's all fun, right? Any agency is going to be good. Any of the standards are going to be met. But if you're looking to develop into some critical skill sets, more along the line of tech, that's where you're going to have to start looking at standards, knowing that your objective is long-term, and moving towards agencies that are focusing on that. I think sometimes, you know, we need to sit back a minute and realize that most divers don't really know what they want. Yes, that's true. We, you know, have to admit as instructors that the only thing that I would say 70 to 80% of the divers know about diving coming in through the shop door is that they want to learn how to suck compressed air out of a bottle underwater and be able to explore the local reef system. That's about the sight that they have on it. So, you know, for us as instructors and advanced divers, the argument of agency has probably a little bit more weight than the argument of agency for a brand new diver. All right? And if we're looking at it honestly, a agency that's being represented, or a dive shop being represented by an agency, and the dive shop is clean, professional, their instructors, are active, and they're appeasing, customer service orientated, knowledge based, and they continue their education, really, what does it matter? Yeah, I just said that. We teach PADI, we teach ITDA, and we teach RAID. Those three agencies are extremely different. And when a customer comes into the shop, one of the first things that I do is I sit them down to see how much they know about diving and what their long-term objective is. What is their goal? That way we can put them on the track and in the agency that's right for them. Most of the weekend warriors that come in and they just are holiday divers, there is nothing wrong with them going into PADI. Now, if they're coming to me and they're saying, well, I'd really like to go into some deep stuff, and I kind of want to be a little bit more edgy in my diving and do the adventure and the exploration, hey, let's go ahead and start them out in RAID or ITDA, and get that way their long-term goals are met from day one through. Yes, standards are more rigid in some agencies, but like I said, if they're just for an open water course, why do we have to have all the bickering? Why do we have to have all the crosshair targeting? Can't we just all get along? My recommendation to any new diver would be support your local dive shop. Go in and have a serious conversation with them. Take a look at the professionalism of the dive shop that you're going to be choosing. Two, it doesn't matter the agency, to be honest, but your instructor chemistry. I don't care if the instructor is a PADI Platinum, Global, Emmy awarded winning, whatever. If the dude is a tool and you don't get along with him, that's going to make for a terrible, experience for you. At the same time, just because he's all cool and, oh dude, whatever man, let's get you in. Professionalism is key. Knowledge base is key. Talk to the owner, talk to the shop, talk to the manager. Let them know you're looking for a quality experience and you want the best bang for your buck. And I assure you that somehow you're going to come to a great agreement and you're going to have an excellent, experience. If for some reason the choices that you have made in the past on your open water and that experience in education has stalled you from continuing your education, rethink it. If you are an advanced diver and you have chosen that, hey, I'm PADI, I'm advanced, I'm thinking about going tech, that would be a good crossroads. Look at some of the other agencies. Just because you got your open water, you're advanced in one agency doesn't mean you can't pursue it in another. And choice is a good thing. I would also venture to recommend that perhaps if you're doing professional development and your goal is to instruct in a particular agency, there's nothing wrong with doing a dive master internship or at maybe like a dive rescue, status. Go around and check out a couple agencies relative to the dive master programs and see the difference between affiliations. Some agencies allow you to work independent, meaning that you can work out of your house, bring equipment on the beach and go, hey dude, let me teach you diving, and that's your exchange. Some require you to be supported by a dive shop. There's a large list of those, but I would take a look and see what it is that you're looking to do as far as a career path, if it's part-time, full-time. Do you need the marketing behind some of these big guys? Could you go to a smaller guy and do marketing, and you're self-motivated. You can be able to utilize the cost effectiveness, and that's another one, cost. You know, you also you got to look at your annual renewal fees and your association fees. Some of them are pretty significant, some of them aren't. Crossover fees, or, you know, requirements on your student. You know, some agencies, their materials are expensive and they're mandated that you buy them XYZ. Other agencies are not very, very expensive and are like e-learning and a registration fee, and you can get online. That puts more money on in your pocket and makes it competitive. All right. And this thing about, because an agency is cheap, el cheapo, right? If an agency isn't forking out $4 to $6 million in marketing, they can actually reduce their materials and offer a product that has high standards, not near the cost. You know, I recently had a conversation with a counterpart on this very thing, and the discussion kind of went along the lines of, you know, well, you know, if it's El Cheapo, they're, you know, they're not going to have high standards and high products. No. Ray, who has higher standards than most organizations, most definitely PADI, has a flat rate. In fact, they offer right now their e-learning online free. You download it free. You take the quizzes free. After you've decided that you like the program, then you pay. And that payment is a fraction of the cost of what you're going to totally pay for materials from PADI. Point blank. That's the way it is. PADI has a higher overhead requirement, and their materials are more illustrated, and they're in hardback, you know, and their requirements are different. Their costs are obviously going to be filtered over to the consumer, and it's going to require. So if I'm charging you $250 US for a in-water session, you know, or for open water session, as a instructor, I am going to get more of a money in my pocket from one agency to another, and I've got to keep those costs associated in order to be competitive equal. All right? But if I choose that, hey, I'm going to give a deal this month, and I'm going to break it down to 150, the standards are still there, it just, the price is reduced and it's a little cheaper. Doesn't mean that the product's any less relevant or the standards of the product are any less. Just means that those rates are being, you know, conveyed to the consumer. All right, so just some discussion and some thoughts for you guys as you're kind of developing, whether you're new in open water, you're looking for your open water, or if you're pursuing, you know, continued education in diving. Look at them. Be aware. When you look for a car, do you just look at price and what's popular? Do the same thing with your diving. It's a little more relevant. Okay? Alright guys, till next time, I'm Don with Poseidon Deepwater Outdoors. Peace.